So this year at Brentwood, we're spending our time on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings looking at the Psalms, which is in many ways the songbook of the Bible. And part of what intrigues us about the Psalms is when you read them carefully and we've run across an idea of marinating in the Psalms, letting the Psalms kind of shape you and form you and tenderize you and make you tasty. When you do that, you realize that every depth of human experience is expressed there. And so that's part of the connection we draw between the Psalms and between jazz, because it's a musical form that tells stories about, as we mentioned, love in the midst of pain in every dimension that you can possibly imagine in the human experience. And so this week's psalm is 62. Well, let me just read it for you. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall never be shaken. How long will you assail a person? How long will you batter your victim, all of you, as you would a leaning wall, a tottering fence? Their only plan is to bring down a person of prominence. They take pleasure in falsehood. They bless with their mouths, but inwardly they curse you. For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress, and I shall not be shaken. On God rests my deliverance and my honor. My mighty rock, my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Those of low estate are but a breath. Those of high estate are a delusion. In the balances they go up. They are together lighter than a breath. Put no confidence in extortion. Set no vain hopes on robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them. Once God has spoken, twice have I heard this, that power belongs to God, and steadfast love belongs to you, O Lord, for you repay to all according to their work. It's a plea for someone who is being oppressed. A plea to God to be their support, to be their rock, to be their refuge. But the piece that particularly intrigued me this week as I was reading this psalm over and over again was this idea of somehow waiting in silence. Waiting in silence. Presbyterians aren't very good at silence. We talk a lot. We fill the time up with words. We call ourselves the people of the book, which means we take the Bible seriously. There are 800,000 words, give or take a few thousand, in the Bible. And Presbyterians over the years have written thousands more words about those 800,000 books or words in the Bible. We seem to fill space up with talking. And we miss what we might hear in the silence. I'll get corrected by this, by my wonderful colleagues in the front row here, but I think it was Miles Davis, who once talked about jazz as jazz really happened in the rests, in between the notes. It wasn't so much the notes, it was that space, that silence, that moment, right? In between the notes. And in a sense, it's that silence that draws you in. And music communicates with us at a level that words can't. You know, there's a way in which the Spirit works through music that is beyond words, that goes deeper than words alone can. When I was doing my professional coach training over at Royal Roads University, 16, 17 years ago, I remember one of the profs over there said they'd done a bunch of research on how comfortable people are with silence. And the research showed that people get uncomfortable with silence after 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Now, it normally takes you 10 to 15 seconds to process what's just been said. That's 6 seconds, right? And so that was, I mean, for somebody who was a professor and a preacher coming into a whole different world, that was a startling revelation. Because I talk a lot. They're all laughing. But I've become more and more appreciative of what happens in the silence. And sometimes it's a nanosecond. Other times it's 15 seconds. Every now and then, believe it or not, it's 15 minutes. I can actually be silent for 15 minutes. Thousands wouldn't believe it. My wife Jill back there is laughing. I have my moments. But this whole idea that somehow in the silence we can hear the reality of love. I think that's what the silence speaks to us of. In the silence we hear the reality of love. And because it's silent, it's gift. You don't have to earn it by talking. You don't have to earn it by doing anything. It's just gift. And the appropriate response, often in silence, is gratitude. So there's that wonderful rhythm of grace and gratitude, grace and gratitude, grace and gratitude. I hear that rhythm so often in the music, so I'll stop talking and we'll get back to the music.